Alright fellas, we're right back in Pokemon Masters for the overview of Atticus and Revavroom. Alright, we actually have a character with the Team Star Mobile, except it's the small version that you can't actually play as in the game. Okay, whatever. That's cool. So Atticus and Revavroom, not a bad sync pair by any means. This character is one that I think is a little bit odd in design. I can definitely see what they were aiming for, but also at the same time, I think this guy's got some minor flaws, honestly. I mean, it really depends, I guess, how you want to look at it. So, whatever. Let's just take a look at his kit. So, he's a support sprint sync pair, poison type, week 2 ground. Drops, of course, January 17th, leaves February 2nd. This is about literally 2 weeks and like 2 days to pull for him. So, about average, I guess. And his stats, stat-wise, he's pretty decent. I mean, 298 defenses isn't that great, but with the X and stuff, it goes up a lot. HP's fine, 315 speed. I mean, you're mostly going to be looking at this guy with, like, EX stats, so, like, level 150 6-star EX. 354 defenses, 800 HP, 371 speed. These are good stats, and the Sprint EX roll does buff some of them, the HP, the speed, and the offenses. He does actually have 332 attack, which is pretty weird. I mean, it's not odd in the modern era for a support to have a solid attack stat, but I'm more concerned with, like, why, considering his DPS is not that strong. He's got Headbutt and Smog, which is a special attack off of his very low, special attack stat there. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter that much, I guess. It's fine. But either way, his stats are fine. They're solid, rather. His defenses are not, like, crazy. 354 defenses is not that crazy, but it definitely is serviceable. It's not bad at all by any means. Just, not really that crazy. Looking at his moves, he's got Headbutt, as mentioned. This is a good move. Flinch chance is nice. We always love that, so very, very nice to make use of. Potions for healing. We love potions, of course. These are very standard tropes, but this doesn't mean that they're bad, especially because potions are always amazing. Flinch chance is always nice. We gotta love it. Trigger move, which is actually also really good. Essence of Poison, which reduces sync countdown by 1, raises attack and special attack of all allies by 4, and speed of all allies by 2. That's a very solid supportive ability. The gauge is nice as well, and that sync countdown could be nice for some potential sync countdown combination with other characters. So, overall, again, pretty solid stuff. And the buddy move, Crafty, Poisonous, Smog. 2 gauge, 2 uses, 150 power. Again, the power doesn't really matter for this move. He's a support and with a lower offensive stat and no multipliers, so it's not that big a deal. It's activated whenever there is a poison damage field, and it's not activated whenever there's not a poison damage field, right? And it leaves the enemy poisoned, badly poisoned at that. Lowers enemy poison rebuff by 1 the first time it's successful, and it raises allies' defenses by 2. These are a lot of good effects compressed into that buddy move for sure. 2 uses is kind of iffy, especially when it's your way of buffing defenses, but, plus 4 defense is good, or in both defenses. You do kind of want plus 6, but I think his grid handles that. I might be wrong. I honestly haven't looked after the initial overview. It's okay, though. He's got that poison rebuff lowering. That's very nice, of course, if you do want to run him with another poison-type characters, and giving him that decent ability as a poison-type support. I'm not going to say he's better than, like, more top-tier support options, like Giovanni, Singsu Giovanni, or obviously Arcsuit Steven or Champion Blue, stuff like that. Obviously, there could be reasons to say that those characters are better just because of their other abilities outside of enhancing, but, if you want to enhance poison-type damage pretty effectively, well, Poison Rebuff is obviously really good at it. And that poison is nice as well for those poison-type allies, and also chip damage and multiple activation, yada, yada, right? I mean, poison's always going to be really good. Or really good and, where applicable, I guess. Okay, and let's look at the passes here. Okay. A Taste of Thine Own Poison, which is actually, this is a good ability. It reduces damage from moves for all allies whenever and sync moves as well, whenever the enemies are poisoned. We don't know the exact multiplier of this, right? Like how much damage it reduces, like 20, 30, 40% up to, right? But I'm going to assume it's 20 to 30%, which is really good. I mean, okay, I'm not gonna say really good as if it's the best thing in the world, but is good. Damage reduction is always nice to have, especially as a support, hit-taking character. So having that ability to reduce damage just from having, the enemy be poisoned, which he wants to do anyway, right, for free pretty much, is really, really solid. And also reduces damage taken by allies from super effective moves and sync moves. This is also very, very nice as well. There's obviously many examples, like how Arcsuit Cynthia is one of the best counters for the Dana Ultimate battle, and, she's weak to ice, so this can reduce the damage that she takes from that battle, just as an example to, speak of. Plenty of characters can fight stages, even if they are weak to those enemies' moves, just because of how good those characters can be. Like, I mean, you know, think of like a character that's weak to fire. That does not mean that that character is bad against like Duroc with his heat waves and whatnot. Just as an example to speak. And obviously, you know, this could potentially allow Atticus to be better at taking ground attacks, right? That's also just one thing to consider. So that's definitely nice, right? That damage reduction just in general for like poisoned enemies, and then extra damage reduction from super effective moves, that's going to be extremely helpful for preventing your allies from taking too much damage. That damage reduction ability is nice. This is probably one of his best effects that he actually has. And obviously, you know, he's got potions for dedicated healing. That's also just equally as nice. So you're able to not only reduce damage, but able to heal up whatever damage you actually do take. So of course, again, that's nice. He's also got debut poison damage field, which applies damage field on his entry to the opponent's team. This is of course for taking good for, you know, taking some extra damage every time the enemy takes an action. On top of that, they are potentially taking poison damage, right? As long as they are poisoned from the use of his smog or whatever method, right? So that is helpful. I mean, you've got yourself 2 layers of damage there, and he also does have extra effects here with the damage field applied, such as this passive here where he's able to buff ally damage whenever they attack an enemy that has the damage field applied to their field of play. So he's got not only defensive support, but also direct offensive support. And of course, the ability to buff defensive stats, offensive stats, and the speed stats. And, you know, the basic abilities of potions and flinching with headbutt. So solid abilities. I'm going to say that I'm not going to say like he's crazy or anything like that, but I do like his, you know, dedicated abilities, his unique abilities here of that damage reduction here and the extra power up here. The only thing you have to really worry about on this side of things is that, of course, damage field only can be applied to pretty much the beginning of the battle. That does kind of suck. Definitely sucks, you know, if you want to have that damage for that damage buff for longer, because a lot of the early form of battle is whenever you're trying to set up, less so actually doing damage. Not saying it's impossible, because clearly not, but a lot of that damage would be used better on later, you know, in the middle or the end of the battle, where you can actually deal as much damage as you possibly can. But either way, not too crazy, not too bad for sure. Definitely a solid base kit. Obviously he's gonna have his grid. His grid is gonna be applying a lot of extra effects. It's gonna be enhancing what he can do just a lot better, applying just extra effects. And I think it's definitely a character. Atticus is definitely a character you want to invest dupes in. I don't think he's that great just at 1 out of 5 investment. I think he does want extra copies just to give him better supportive ability and, you know, damage taking ability, you know, whatever it may be, right? There's plenty of reasons to want to invest in literally any character. He's got Antitoxin at 1 to 5. I mean, that's, you know, cool, right? Steel type, Revavroom, it's sure. Though I actually do want to look at this here really quickly. Quick tempo, yeah, okay. Sure, buddy, whatever. Quick tempo. Anyway, he's got Quick Cure, Natural Remedy, Speedy Entry, Catalytic Kick on the Trainer Move NPR, Sand Shelter, Headbutt, Gauge Refresh, Potion NPR, and Master Healer, Potent Toxin, and On the Run in his grid. Okay. Most of these tiles are pretty solid. I like Potent Toxin. Enemies take extra damage whenever they are poisoned. That just, you know, combine that with more chip damage over time. On the Run for evasion buffs, that could be nice, again, you know, reducing the damage he takes by taking none, you know, mitigating it in that way. And also these are probably the best tiles you can get at 2 out of 5, the Potion NPR and Master Healer. NPR and Master Healer nodes are always amazing. More potions means more healing, the more longevity your team has, right? Of course, you just have to land that 30% chance, which can suck, but again, it's good to have. It's really, really good to have. It's also got Sand Shelter, protecting damage from sand, about the same value as Antitoxin, just, you know, depends on the setup. I guess you could loop back around to that very niche example of Arxus Cynthia or whatever, where she wants to, you know, potentially have to take blizzards, and Atticus can reduce that damage with his passive here, and well, now Atticus doesn't have to take the sand damage from Cynthia's Sandstorm, right? Just again, it's an example. Natural Remedy, Quick Cure, preventing status changes and status conditions the first time inflicted. That's nice. Again, plenty of stages like to use those one-time status conditions or have the chances of status conditions applying and could potentially ruin things. And well, obviously mitigation against that. Like how many times I got fucking frozen in my Dana run. Just again, it's an example. Speedy Entry 2, not that great of a tile, honestly. I mean, just pick up Trainer of NPR. It's the same effect for the most part. 30% chance to restore Trainer of MP. That gives you more sync countdown. That gives you the attack and special attack buffs to max. That gives you +2 speed again. Obviously, there's plenty of good reasons to want to have NPR on this. Very nice. And Catalytic Kick, just giving more effects. Gauge acceleration, just more gauge buffs for the team, making Atticus obviously a very solid gauge managing support, despite being with Revavroom, right? That's pretty odd support to be gauge managing, but still, it's fine. So yeah, these are probably the bigger. I mean, the 2 out of 5. You know, they're not like ever going to be usually crazy abilities, but the best things are for sure the Potion NPR and Master Healer here, and probably the Trainer of NPR and stuff like that. That's probably the best things he gets. I think the Potion NPR tiles are probably worth that investment alone, but you would prefer to heavily prefer to go higher investment on this character. 3 to 5, he gets Headbutt Aggravation, another node of Master Healer and NPR for potions, Team Shout, Sync Move Poison Damage Field, Focus Group, Impervious, and Extension on the Poison Damage Field. And Sync tiles, but whatever. Okay, all of these tiles are good. Headbutt Aggravation, 60% chance to flinch. Everybody knows for the most part how good flinch is. If you don't know how good it is, well, you're denying enemy action. This can make it faster to get to your sync moves. This can make it slower for enemies to get to their sync moves or just do actions in general, preventing damage. I mean, there's plenty of uses to having the enemy literally be unable to move. That's very, very good, obviously. We love we love flinches here. So 60% chance, very nice. Poison Damage Field Extension and being able to set it on the sync move. This gives you more time to have the damage field up, which means the enemies take more damage for taking actions, on top of, again, being poisoned, which is obviously really solid. And you also do have the support that is applied here with the 20% extra damage on the allies' moves by having Poison Damage Field applied, again, giving him better offensive support. Similar to that of, like, Champion Blue, or I think Fall Roxanne has a similar passive, those type of characters that, again, apply support directly to the team. Impervious, preventing stat debuff immunity, nice against literally any debuffing stage. Morgan is the biggest, most prominent example. If you just want a big one, there it is. But obviously there's plenty of stages that do it. I guess, like, you think of the Moltres Legendary Arena, or like, so too many stages that debuff. Like Dana, now the Ultimate Battle, has the accuracy debuffs. I mean, so many reasons to like Impervious. It's so nice. Focus or Group, raising ally crit by 1 when the Pokemon uses a move. This is also very nice. I mean, crit support, on top of having the 5 core stats being able to be buffed in these 2 moves, you can now actually buff crit. So if you have a character that really wants to have their crit buffed, Atticus can now provide that. Team Shout for faster offensive buffs. I don't think this is that valuable of a tile to pick up, honestly. It's just probably better for you to pick up Trainer with NPR if you need maxed out offenses. So again, I just wouldn't really worry about it, especially considering Focus Group and Impervious can have their own value, so picking up Trainer with NPR is most likely what you're going to do anyway. And yeah, those are the biggest tiles. I mean, also the Potion Master Healer here. I mean, having 2 nodes of NPR and 1 node of Master Healer, very, very solid to pick up. That's the best way to have as many potions as possible with solid healing and, being good on managing your actual grid energy here as well. So Atticus has very solid tiles here in the grid. These are very solid tiles to make him have a better chance of doing what he has to do. I especially like that sync move for be able to apply the damage field on top of the damage field extension here. This gives you, you want to use the sync move anyway. This gives you that support EX, that sprint EX if you have his EX roll invested. That -3 sync countdown, of course, is nice here. And also the double support sync, or the double sync buff after using your sync move. That then supplies that extra poison damage field, which is in turn powering up the allies' moves, because this is the point in battle where your allies are really starting to try and do as much damage as possible. So you're getting that extra support on it, and you're also having the enemies take extra damage for just taking actions. And again, extending it and making it last even longer. That's nice stuff. I do like those tiles. And again, that extra Potion NPR and Master Healer, just keeping your team alive, that's also very, very nice as well. I still do not like how he's unable to buff defenses past +4. I think that is one issue that I just really can't shake. I'm not going to say it's going to be a big issue or that it's not going to be a big issue. I mean, it really is just going to depend on the fight. Now, I got a voicemail. I don't know what that was about. I did rough cut. That's what I'm basically known for at this point. Whatever. You know how good the damage fields are. It's good. Potion NPR, always really nice. Maintaining healing. I still do not like this. I do not like that your healing buffs defenses by +4. It depends on the fight, but whatever. It doesn't matter, I guess. So, obviously, 3 to 5 is good all around. I mean, you're getting the extra flinch chance, getting those Potion NPRs, you're getting the extra ability to set poison damage field. Impervious for its utility it provides. I mean, Focus Group for the utility it provides if you need crit buffs, you need stat debuff immunity. They're all right there. Good effects, right? 4 to 5, he gains team physical moves up next and special moves up next on using his trainer move. This gives extra value, even more so, to picking up trainer move NPR here, and obviously it just increases his offensive buffing ability even more. It doesn't make him on the same level of character like Eriott or Arc Suit Steven or whatever, but it gives him that same initial moves up next buffing that again can be supplied with extra by getting trainer move NPR. If you can't afford to pick it up, which still provides good effects here, all of these. That's nice. So nice to have, again, if you do need those extra, that extra power that could be in that one attack or whatever from getting that move with special or physical moves up next. 5 out of 5 gives him Noxious Hit and Poison Damage Field on the team, whatever, Team Sync moves up. Okay, more support on the damage field. Always going to be nice. I mean, it's going to be nice to have, so if you're wanting to power it up, I mean, more power, not just to the moves, but now to the sync moves. And again, with that Sprinty X effect and the extension on this and the set of it on the sync move, well, you're going to have damage field up for some pretty key moments in the fight, and you're going to actually have even more support off of that. Again, this tile's got value because of that. Again, you don't have to pick it up or invest to this level just for Atticus to be solid and usable, but it does help out with his damage support. And then Noxious Hit, a tile I really like that mitigates this issue here of the defenses and whatnot, where now you can actually debuff offenses. That debuffing is nice for deactivating multipliers. It's nice for having enemies do less damage, require you to have less potions and whatnot. It's all nice. And again, all of this damage reduction, like defense buffing, offensive debuffing, potions, I guess evasion with on the run, but that's more niche than anything. All of it is culminated with this passive where he's able to actually prevent the team from taking damage even more. So I think that is definitely the best effect he's got, and it's just made better with his abilities in here, like Potion NPR and Noxious Hit, which is further reducing damage that the team would take naturally. Obviously, other supports have these same abilities. Again, biggest examples, Champion Blue and Arcee Steven, where they can debuff offenses all the same, right? And even buff defenses better and more effectively than Atticus can in some senses. But still, I mean, I think it's still a good effect, and if you are trying to, like, for example, directly buff poison characters where Atticus can provide the poison and the poison rebuff and stuff like that, it still is providing good effects. They actually give you good dedicated effects, again, for poison type characters, but also, again, at the same time, you can use this with other characters if you want to, and just giving Atticus generally solid abilities for most support, like for a support that can actually help out more than just poison type characters, though again, poison types are kind of what he's trying to focus on. So now I want to move on to his Super Awakening. I've already talked about why he's a solid support. I don't think he's not more valuable than most Master Fairs or like Art Fair characters for sure. Definitely not. He's a Poke Fair support. They tend to not make these characters seem extremely valuable, though I do think he does have really solid use. Yeah, especially if you want to like empower poison types. I do think he's got places with characters like Gita, for example, or Singzerax, whatever. But again, those characters could also be used to similar, if not, again, better effect with those top tier Master Fairs, so I just want to keep that in mind. Anyway, up to 9 out of 10, he gets more defensive ability. I mean, more bulk, I guess. HP goes up. The special attack doesn't. I mean, it does go up, but like whatever, right? Same with attack. Mostly the defenses, right? 405 defenses. I feel like I don't like how his defenses are potentially lower than what they normally be, just because Super Awakening exists. Not too big of a fan on that, but it's whatever. It's fine, I guess. Sure, his defenses go to be respectable, and 10 out of 10 gives him the passive, which Head Start 2, Damage Field, Team Crit Immunity, and Damage Field Team Condition Nullification. These are just extra effects on the Poison Damage Field. Those that Crit Immunity is nice to be able to run a lucky skill other than Vigilance. The Team Condition Nullification is nice as well for guaranteeing prevention of those status conditions and status changes, especially being on the whole team. These are good effects. Are they worth 10 out of 10 investment? That's mostly what it comes down to, is that it's just not. Like, these are good effects if these were like innate abilities, or if they were, easy to pick up on the grid or something like that, but just the level of investment is not worth it. Running Vigilance as a lucky skill or whatever most of the time is just the same for Team Crit Immunity and Team Condition Nullification. I mean, you can run like a certain status immunity lucky skill, or in this guy's case, you can run Natural Remedy, or Quick Cure. It's just, I don't think it's that big of a deal a lot of time. Head Start 2 is nice. This gives you sync countdown on entry, and you combine that with usually the use of the trainer move here, which gives you a whole rotation of sync countdown. That's what you want, but again, just not worth that 10 out of 10 investment. It really just is not that good of a tile to have. Overall, his 10 out of 10 is just not that great. I don't know why they give all characters 10 out of 10. I think it honestly should have just been something that older characters got. It was the point of a buff. Every single time that this happens, I feel that they just miss the point of what a buff to an older character specifically is meant to be, and not just a way to make more premium units, newer premium units, have a way to reason to spend more money on them. But whatever, it doesn't even matter. that's my thoughts on Atticus overall. I mean, I think he's just in general, I think he's a solid support. Like, he's got good abilities that can cover all situations for all characters. Similar to that of, I don't even know what a good support to compare him to would be. Honestly, think about the kind of kit quality of like a Lodge support and how they're usually meant to be more encompassing of all types of characters and not necessarily just one type of character they're meaning to buff. And Atticus is like that, but obviously with an actual Pokefair level kit. Though he does, again, lean more towards wanting to buff poison types with the poison rebuff, I mean, the damage field, all that stuff. I mean, he wants to do damage to poison weak enemies. He wants to buff poison allies. That's what he really wants to do. But again, a lot of his abilities can be done just by himself and power up, again, all allies, not just poison types, which is, again, good. And I still do really like his little niche here of having that damage reduction with poison allies and also, or poisoned enemies, and also having that super effective damage reduction here. A lot of that's going to potentially depend upon, you know, how much damage reduction it is. If it's like 20% each, then it's not that crazy, but I mean, it's still good. If it's like 30 to 40% each, then, well, we're looking at something very, very crazy potentially for especially a Pokefair character. But we'll see, I guess. So, yeah, Atticus, overall, solid support. Quite good. Definitely a character that, you know, couldn't fault anyone for going for sure. Similar in Mela's case, you know, even though, again, she's replaced by potential other fire characters for sure. But yeah, overall, whatever. Doesn't matter too much. Just go for the character if you like it. Skip him if you don't want to. I mean, I'm not going to say he's Master Fair quality. You could easily save and skip and save for the half anniversary, and no one will blame you, especially not me. So, yeah. That's my thoughts. I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoy. Good luck on your summoning. Good luck on your skipping. And yeah, anniversary's coming up in a month and a half. We'll see. Yeah, I'll see you later. Hope you all enjoyed. Peace.